How are we doing, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. This is United versus Everybody. I am your host, Sean. I'm going to turn the light up just a little bit because it is getting a little later. Big up, Danny B, already in the house. We are here tonight just to get your thoughts, your reaction, just your overall opinion on the performance, the match, Ruud van Nistelrooy's future, anything and everything right now as you Manchester United come away with all 3 points at home to Leicester City in our last match before international break, our last match before Ruud van Amorim arrives, and our last match with Ruud van Nistelrooy as interim boss. So we are here to get your thoughts on that. Apologies for the delay. I don't know if it's the new computer or what, but for some reason, whenever I try to go check the microphone settings on the new streaming platform, the camera just shuts off. And so it's done that a couple times now. It did that the other day, so I'm not sure. It's probably going to be me on the phone yelling at somebody tomorrow. But in any case, we are here to dive into the match, get your thoughts, get your opinions, get your reactions, and all that jazz. So go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe if you're new. Let's start with your thoughts on the starting 11. It's Bruno came good. Yeah, Bruno had a really good match. We're going to talk about Bruno a little bit. So what are your thoughts on the starting 11? Like we said in the preview, we saw, if Ahmad was fit, he needed to start, right? He was being assessed midweek. He came off with about 10 minutes left to go the other day against PAOK. Seems like he was fine, and then he started, and I think we benefited from it greatly, right? Ahmad had a really good match. He was lively. He was all over the place. He was making dribbles. He was creating chances. He was putting in the hard yards tackling wise as well. He was very, very good. The question mark right ahead of this match was, okay, if Ahmad does start, who makes way, Rashford or Garnacho? Because it can't have all three of them on the pitch at once. Some of you may argue you can if you throw Bruno on the bench and put Ahmad in the 10, but today we really needed Bruno. Today, obviously, Garnacho got the call. Might have been the wrong call, maybe to put him on the bench considering Rashford's performance, but we're going to get to Rashford in a little bit. So Ruud's preference for flooding the opposition box with numbers really paid off today, I thought. Each time United were in the final phase, we had 4 or 5 players just in and around the box, in these wide positions, playing these intricate combinations and triangles. Even including like Casemiro and some of the fullbacks were getting into central positions, getting higher up the pitch, getting involved in that final phase of play. And that's what Ruud does. We've talked about that. It's all about a numbers game as far as Ruud is concerned. It's interesting, though, because if you were watching the game, you kind of felt like, we were attacking, we were getting in good positions, but then our XG was only 0.7. So just like that last game against Leicester in the Carabao Cup, we vastly outperformed our XG by a lot. So, and honestly, I think Leicester's XG was higher on the day. Danny says everyone had a solid game. Dalot, Rashford, not great again. Yeah, we're gonna talk about Rashford a little bit. Dalot, I didn't think Dalot had necessarily a poor game. Like he wasn't making like mistakes. At least when I saw, he just wasn't doing anything like extravagant, which I don't mind. I've said many times about like Harry Maguire. Like I don't need you to do anything crazy. Just do the simple things, keep it simple, clean it up, and that I felt like Dalot did that today. He just didn't do anything of note. I thought it was interesting, that Mazraoui looked, streets ahead of him on the left and Dalot back to the right. But I think that Dalot, is still, and again, he's not been great this season. He still makes the same mistakes that he's been making for several years. I get that. But yeah, Leicester's XG was higher. We outperformed ours. Again, we had 13 shots. 3 of those shots were on target, and then that led to 3 goals. So 3 goals from 3 shots on target. That's clinical AF. And we've done that under Ruud now a couple times. You cannot argue that we haven't been clinical with our chances with Ruud on the touchline. Now, how much he's had to do with that is anyone's guess. Coaches and managers don't have a ton of involvement in the training, and they don't have a ton of involvement in terms of controlling their attackers on the pitch, right? That's kind of up to the attackers to take their chances in those moments. But at the same time, we've looked really, really good under Ruud. So add to that, again, those combinations and triangles we were playing in those wide positions. And I thought overall in the final third today, we looked really, really good. Yes, there were a few times where I thought maybe we were overcomplicating things, but we didn't do it nearly as much as we did against PAOK the other day. So it seems like and that's also something that Ruud institutes into his attackers. We saw this at PSV. If you guys go back and watch that video I did on Ruud, what Ruud does is he really helps his young attackers make better decisions in the final third, when to pass, when to shoot, when to carry the ball, how to carry the ball a little bit further, and things like that. And that I think we're seeing a little bit more of. On the day, we had 7 shots from inside the box. So again, showing that we're doing well to progress the ball, get into those dangerous advanced positions. 17 touches in their box in total, truth be told. So again, it's interesting because we're getting a higher XG with more touches than we were getting a higher XG under Ten Hag, but we've just done more with those chances under Ruud. So under Ten Hag, we were getting loads of shots, loads of touches in the opposition box. Our XG was consistently like 2, 3, but we just weren't putting the chances. So what's the difference between the finishing under Ten Hag with the more chances or the clinical finishing with the less chances and the lower XG under Ruud? You guys let me know, but a big part of that today came from Bruno. So shout out to Bruno. He had a great game, created 7 chances, got a goal, got an assist as well. So captain's performance from Bruno today. Big up Ugarte as well. He was immense today, put in 6 tackles, 46 of 50 passes completed, 3 interceptions, 10 of his ground duels he won, 5 passes into the final third, and he even created a big chance on the day. So Ugarte for me was outstanding, and he just keeps getting better and better the more he's playing. He's doing exactly what we needed him to do, right? Just win the ball, and then find a teammate. Win the ball, find a teammate. Find the ball, chase it down, win it back, find a teammate. And he's doing it superbly, in my opinion. He and Casemiro, I thought today, locked down that midfield pretty well. I really like that partnership between him and Casemiro. Honestly, if I had to choose right now, Ugarte legitimately is probably my man of the match. I know Bruno is probably going to get it because he got the goal, he got the assist. I get that. But Ugarte, just, again, another match, consistent matches where he's doing what he needs to do and he's doing it well, and I can't fault him for that. So let me see here. Danny says, stay composed. The shadow press worked well. No 4 or 5 players high at the pitch, leaving the midfield exposed. The players were playing closer together and staying in their positions. Yeah, I thought we were doing really well in those close combinations. Very, very well. I thought that we did really well moving people centrally when we needed to. There were times where Mizraoui was getting a little more central, where Mizraoui was kind of moving up into that front 4 area a little bit. Casemiro, I thought, had a little bit of a shaky start. I think because we were kind of on the back foot a little bit, and we know that Casemiro cannot operate on the back foot very well. But once we started to wrest a little control back in the game, I thought he looked a lot better, personally. So, and how good did Ahmad look? Again, getting around the pitch, 5 of 6 dribbles completed, 2 out of 2 tackles, 1 interception, 5 touches in the box, 1 chance created. Ahmad was a thing of beauty. And that casual little backheel flick to Bruno for our opening goal was silky as fuck. That was dirty. I almost thought he didn't see it for just the casual way he played that ball, but that was dirty. That was one of those, whew. So it's funny again, because as far as Ahmad goes, it wasn't like he was seeing a ton of the ball, right? He had the fewest touches of any outfield player to play for the 90 minutes. But sort of like our shots, it was down to making the most of those chances that you get. Again, clinical. And he's done that with numbers, but also with the chances that he's had when he's played. So it's not just the chances on the pitch, but the chances that he's been given to get minutes. He's really maximized those opportunities. I honestly can't recall a bad performance from Ahmad in a United shirt personally, but you guys let me know what you think. What we saying here, Danny B? I said 2 weeks ago he could be the closest thing we had to Roy Keane if he continues on this form. Ahmad was pure class. Work rate was excellent again. Yeah, I think that Ugarte, he's young. Remember, Ugarte is only 23. He's going to learn. He's still learning a lot. And so I think that having Casemiro there to help is really been, I think I love that partnership. It's been such a great partnership so far. I think they complement each other very well, especially now that Casemiro's kind of tweaked his game a little bit. He's kind of like Ndidi. Ndidi used to be, this lone six, this defensive midfielder, but then in the last couple of years, Ndidi's operated more in a box-to-box role, more in an advanced role. He's getting involved. We saw today he was getting a little bit more involved higher up the pitch. He had a really good chance, could have put that away, but Onana did really well to stop that. So I think that, we're seeing a lot. I like what I see from Ugarte. I really do. And I think that with more game time, he'll just get better and better. So Who's to say if this is the result of being integrated or if he could have started like this? It had Ten Hag started him earlier. Anyone's guess now. It's a bit of a moot point, but I really like Ugarte a lot. So Garnacho, Ruud said that he had a little bit of a chat with Garnacho ahead of this one and told him he'd be coming on from the bench to make an impact. And what an impact he made. I thought he was his usual precocious, energetic self. His goal was pretty much perfect. The way he took that, the way he placed that. We all kind of, as soon as he shot that, that's in the back of the net. In fact, I saw Statman Dave point out that Garnacho actually now has more goals and assists this season than Bukayo Saka, Ousmane Dembele, Kvaratskhelia, Mbappe, Rafael Leao, Nico Williams, Michael Olise, and Foden, not combined, but just individually. And he's still just 20 years old. So, and I don't know, I didn't watch the Napoli match, so I'm not sure what Kvaradona's numbers are, but that's impressive. If he can keep it up, if he can work on his decision making, I think that he's going to be great for us. We all love him. We all love Garnacho. He's had his own song now for a couple of years. We love him. So, and then finally, a big shout out to my guy Noose. What a class player Mazraoui has been for us in literal every sense of the word class. I'm not going to get into a Dallo versus Mazraoui debate right now, considering how well Mazraoui did at left back compared to Dallo. But suffice it to say, I think that there's a difference in just quality. And I think that Mazraoui is just a better player overall of the two. So he looks better no matter almost where you're going to put him on the pitch. And so Mazraoui for me has got to be one of our best signings since Fergie, probably up there with Bruno is probably our top two signings. De Ligt is pushing up there as well, just from what he brings to defense. Licha, obviously we all love Licha. Like we've done well in some. We've got some flops, but I think we've done really well in the last 10 years. Danny B says fire. Yeah, we know you've been saying that, man. One of the best in his position in the world. Yeah, he is just he's just different. He's just built different, and I'm here for it. I really am. He's getting involved all over the place. Dallo has work to do, though, in my opinion, if he wants to earn back a place in the starting 11 once everybody's fit. I think that you could argue right now that Maz is probably better on the left than anybody else we have, even when everyone's fit. So does Dallo continue with the right side? We'll see what happens. But in terms of who fit, whether or not Dallo is going to fit, where Mazraoui is going to play, that's something we're going to explore a little bit next weekend. So a week from yesterday. So this coming up Saturday. Don't forget to stop by because I will be joined by hopefully one or two guests because we are going to go through the squad one by one to decide who we think fits, who we think might not fit, how we think they're going to fit. In this 3-4-2-1, 3-4-3, if you want to call it that system with Ruben Amorim. So I will want your guys' thoughts on that. So make sure you stop by for that. We're gonna have a fun time with that one. So Leicester never really worried me though, if I got to be honest. I think that, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I never really felt worried. I thought, yes, Ndidi's transformation to a box-to-box player saw him get in good positions. Like I said, I did think Onana did extremely well to stop that opportunity. I think Steve Cooper kind of hurt his chances by not starting El Canus. I don't know why Vardy wasn't in the squad. If somebody can let me know. But again, team selection in substitutions, we've said this under Ten Hag, these are the kind of little decisions that can make or break your job as a manager. And not many people are too happy with Steve Cooper, but it's not my club, so I don't care. But I think that, again, it's just a difference in quality shown today. I think Leicester do have good players, and they did well to keep Ndidi when his contract was about to be up. El Canus was a great pickup for him. I don't know how long he's going to stay there, depending on how well they do. But get in your thoughts as we go along, because I am going to dive into my 3 takeaways on the match. Again, hit that like button. Subscribe for me if you are new, and we're going to dive right in. So first things first, do we need a striker? It's a question I was thinking about a little earlier, a question I've been thinking about kind of all season. And I know that I've been sort of just going back and forth on it mentally. But Danny says yes. But I got to ask the question. I saw United linked with a January move for Kolo Muani the other day. And I remember at the time kind of chuckling, just kind of scrolling past, like, I don't really care. I just saw today, actually, just on my way home from grabbing dinner, that apparently, according to L'Equipe, we've contacted Chelsea to inquire about Christopher Nkunku, who I really like. I thought he was really good at Leipzig. So it's interesting. I don't. But today was another match where it made me wonder if we need a striker. We're 16th in the league right now for goals per match, with 1.1 average per match. We are top, though, when it comes to big chances. We have 26 big chances, but we're also bottom, I guess you could call it, for big chances missed. I got to understand, where's the breakdown there? Danny says, yes to Nkunku, please no to Kolo Muani. Yeah, I've never really rated Kolo Muani, if I'm honest, even when he had that good season at Frankfurt. I always am hesitant when people have a good season. We saw it with, who's the Italian striker who was at Torino for a minute? And then like Luka Jovic and stuff like that. I'll remember it in a couple seconds, but you guys will help me out too. Yeah, for every one of those, there's just, even like, what's his face at Juventus now? I've not ever really been super convinced. I don't like to big up players, but it's always that fine line. Like, do I jump too soon, or do we wait? And if they continue to be good, they're going to cost a cajillion dollars, like Gyökeres. So where's the breakdown with the chances we're creating, and the goals that we're not converting? Are we not finding our strikers? Højlund doesn't really get a whole lot of passes from his teammates, so maybe that has some legitimacy. Do our attackers need to do better overall? I mean, we've not been super clinical with our chances this season, as we just broke down in those numbers. So, or is it a combination of both? What's the breakdown there? Is something as simple as bringing in a striker with a little bit more experience, a little bit more clinical like stats to back that up, is that going to make a difference? Because you can put in Lewandowski in this side, but if he's not getting picked out by his attackers, because we saw it with Ronaldo too, like, or is it maybe you need a striker who's able to create a little bit more for himself? I don't know. Højlund's still young, and so I doubt we're going to see all of that from him. But the question is, do we need a striker, and what's the breakdown? Højlund hasn't scored a goal since October when we beat Brentford. Xerxes has a few assists, but he hasn't scored since his debut against Fulham, and that was the first match of the season, by the way. I'm not writing off Højlund because he's young. Like I said, he's shown enough for me so far to make me think that with proper development, good coaching, that he can be really good for us. Xerxes, however, still confuses me. I don't think that, what the heck is going on here? Sorry, I had the wrong one up. Sorry, guys. So Xerxes still confuses me. I just don't know why we signed him. The point, though, is like whether or not we are in a position right now to wait for Højlund to develop, or in a position to wait to see if Xerxes has what it takes. Is there something still to gain from this season if there's an opportunity in the market and we have the funds and whatever to go and maybe get someone who's really going to guarantee us, 15, 20 goals for the remainder of the season? I get that Højlund's younger. Like I said, we said it last season when we signed Højlund. He wasn't meant to be our main striker. He wasn't that guy at Atalanta. He was very young. We were trying to go for another striker. It didn't happen. It is what it is. So Danny says, give Rasmus till the summer, and then we'll know where we're at. Yeah, I mean, he's still young. He's still going to be young by the summer, too, so it's difficult. Xerxes needs to lose a few pounds and play in 1 in the 10s. We're going to see what happens with Xerxes. Again, you want to get your thoughts in on where Xerxes is going to play, come back on Saturday. We're going to talk about that a little bit. So all this in mind, we're not finding strikers. Our strikers aren't doing a whole lot. They're not scoring goals. Suddenly, a January move for a striker doesn't sound so crazy. Suddenly, I'm looking at some of these links, and I'm not laughing as much as I was a few moments ago. I'm not saying go get Kolo Muani, because I just don't think he's that good. But the links to like Benjamin Sesko that just won't go away, I mean, that doesn't necessarily sound like a horrible idea now. I don't think we're going to get Gyökeres like a lot of people are talking about. I don't see that happening. That's just lazy journalism, in my opinion. But let's say for a second that we need a striker, or that Ineos will prioritize one. There are still issues there with that. What do we do with the ones we have? We're already skint, so where does that money going to come from? We just had to pay a lot of money to sack Ten Hag and bring in a new coach. And that, considers too, when we still have to strengthen in some areas, particularly with this new system and the potential clearing of deadwood on top of that, we're going to need to strengthen. So where's the money going to come from? Maybe some youngsters could fill those gaps for a season, but there's never a guarantee that there's going to be good enough. Obi Martin could start, can come in and integrate and just not be it. Like, we don't know. And so it's difficult. Ultimately, I do think we need to create more chances for the strikers, but it definitely helps when you have a straight up killer getting on the end of them. Like I said, I think Hoyland has what it takes to get there someday. Xerxes, the jury's still out. But you guys let me know what you think. What is Danny B saying here in the chat? Rashford needs to go. I probably sound like a broken record at this stage. Well, Danny V, that's what we're talking about next, my guy. So let's. Rashford is the odd man out, is my second takeaway from this one. I think that, as far as I'm concerned, Rashford, we did that video on him, you remember, towards beginning of the season, that Rashford's got a lot of work for me right now. And I think we didn't have a difficult conversation about Marcus Rashford. It's probably an easier conversation for some of us, or maybe at least it's a shorter conversation. It definitely sounds like it's a short conversation for Danny. But again, you remember I did that video a little while ago on how this was going to be a make or break season for Marcus Rashford. And so far, it's definitely been more break than make. Can even the most diehard Rashford fan out there say that he's done enough in the last year and a half or so, to justify that new contract that he got? I'd even go even a point further and argue that he's not doing enough in the last year and a half to justify the previous contract that he was on, quite frankly. He had a bit of a purple patch last month, but his impact on matches overall has declined tremendously in the last few weeks. Like, he's just ghosting. I wouldn't even know he was on the pitch unless he was getting subbed off sometimes. So if he wants to make a good first impression on his new manager, he simply needs to fix up, because today was another anonymous showing. He only played 57 minutes, and played is a generous term here, because he created 0 chances. He had no shots, completed only 2 out of 4 dribbles, no accurate crosses from 4 attempts, mind you, 23 of 28 passes completed. So he completed it was like 82%, but he wasn't doing anything. He managed to get 2 touches in the box, and he did manage 4 passes into the final third, I guess. But it just felt like his best contribution today was pretty much just being on the pitch to give Leicester something to think about and be aware of, and to kind of just keep one eye on, because he has the ability to pop up in moments. But I mean, Garnacho subbed on for him and got the same number of touches in the box, and he also got a goal. So it's interesting. It's not looking good for Rashford. Danny says, I'd take 40 to 50 and let him go in January, try to do a swap with PSG, but not for Muani. Trying to think off the top of my head if there's anybody from PSG that I would want immediately that we could use. I'm trying to think. No, Barcola, maybe. I do like Barcola a lot, but I hear you. It's like I said, the reason I made that make or break video, because part of that factored in was this could be also the last season that we could expect to get a whole lot for Rashford, unless he goes to like the Saudi league or something, because he's 27. He's got a big money contract, so not many other clubs are going to be able to afford that contract. So he really, and if he doesn't perform and we try to sell him, it's only going to hurt the resale value, because no one's going to want him if he's not performing. So we're going to talk more about this on Saturday for that keep, sell, who fits, who doesn't kind of video. But I have to wonder right now, like, how Rashford even fits into that system. I can see him maybe as the striker, but I also can maybe see him in one of those spots behind the striker. But is he better than that, one of those 10 roles, than Bruno or Ahmad? Not right now. He's definitely not. He definitely can't play in one of those wider roles, because he doesn't want to track back. Honestly, I think Rashford needs to find a way to play his way back into the starting 11, because right now he's third choice for me, behind Ahmad and behind Garnacho in terms of our wingers. I don't see how this is going to happen. Maybe he's got one eye on a move. Maybe he wants to maybe he's tired of trying to fit in all these different systems, and he just wants to go to a club that is going to basically play the way he plays. Problem is, it's difficult to drop a player who's on $300K a week. But if the team is better without him, perhaps it's not that difficult decision after all. If Rashford doesn't improve and Amorim drops him, then Ineos really have to back that decision because they have to back their manager. Lee, Kid, maybe Ramos. Nothing really great PSG have. Yeah, I really like Gonçalo Ramos when he was at Benfica. It just hasn't really worked out for him too well at PSG. Not at least not what we were hoping. I do like Lee, Kenjan Lee, when he was what is he at Mallorca? I think we were linked him through a little bit as well while he was there. I do like the look of him. I think he could do really well in one of those 10 roles personally. But PSG, Zaire Emery, I like Zaire Emery a lot. I really, really, really like Paulinho. I think he could be a really good kind of Frankie de Jong alternative. So I would take Paulinho in a heartbeat. But you guys let me know if there's anybody from PSG you might want to do that. Danny B says, thoughts on Ahmad and the left wing back, Garnacho, Bruno in the 10s, Sean? Personally, I mean, I guess there's not really wrong answer. For those three, I'd probably swap Garnacho and Ahmad just because I think Ahmad, between the two, I think Ahmad's probably going to do better in those tighter areas. I think kind of like Mainu, if he's too wide, if he's got too much responsibility getting up and down the pitch too much, I think we're not getting as much from Ahmad as we could. I think you're going to get a lot from Garnacho in that situation because I think Garnacho is better picking up the ball wide, even when he's in his own half, and then getting it forward. Where someone like Rashford, if Rashford picks the ball up in his own half, odds are he's not carrying it into the opposition half. It's just the way it is. But I think that Bruno and Ahmad in the 10, if it were me, that's where I would go, and I would try to find a way to put Garnacho. But again, you can experiment and see who's going to do it. Give people a little bit of time in each. Danny says, Ahmad natural left foot, better defender than Garnacho. Yeah, and that's the thing. We can see. The problem is I haven't seen enough from Ahmad just this season period. I mean, to see a lot of those attributes. But I know what I saw from him on loan at Sunderland. I know what we've seen with him in the last couple matches when he's played, and he's looked really well. Obviously, he's shown a lot of energy. Is that the initial spark of energy because he's brought back into the system and getting minutes, or is that just the way he's going to play? So I want to see him get a run of games. I want to see how he handles that and see how he goes. But again, Amorim is going to be able to experiment with everyone. So we're going to see what happens. But come back on Saturday, Danny. We're going to do that video. I want to hear your thoughts on that. Danny says we need a lateral left footer. I mean, some people are saying throw Anthony in there and see what happens. Anthony, you never know what can happen with Anthony. It's basically a win-win almost because, or I guess you could call it lose-lose, but it's a free hit basically if you want to test out Anthony in that left-hand side because we already kind of know he's not great. So even if he doesn't do well, nothing changes. But he could prove us wrong in a different role, in a different system, under a different manager. It could be a renaissance for Anthony. As far as we know, odds are no, but we'll see. But as far as Rashford goes, to wrap that up on Rashford, honestly, to me, with Rashford, it's all mental. It's all mental with Rashford. He doesn't have any resilience. His body language pretty much says me that he's just not feeling it. He seems disinterested. He doesn't really seem like he's giving it his all. It doesn't seem like his head is here. Perhaps he already has his mind on a transfer. I don't know. I know probably some of you are probably thinking already what Rashford. Danny's already shared his thoughts. But what are your thoughts on Rashford? To me, he seems like the odd man out. Even in the current system under Ruud, he's just being outperformed by Ahmad, who barely plays. He's being outperformed by his substitute in Garnacho, who comes on and does better than he does. Like, he's just being outperformed by everybody right now. Do you give him the rest of the season to see how it turns him around? Or maybe some of you have already basically just given up on Rashford and maybe hope we can sell him in the summer or in January, as Danny says. So, yeah, Danny says on Anthony, see what happens in that left wing back role. Can't hurt. Compose View, welcome, bud. It says Malacia, Amos. Oh, I always forget about Malacia. Honestly, I don't know. He's been part of training. I just, whenever I've seen Malacia, I just didn't really ever see that he was that good personally, but it's just me. But Amos, I do like to see. We'll see. He's still very, very young. I would consider even like 20 years old to be young for first team player, at least in the defensive fullback role. And Harry Amos is still just a teenager. Danny B says Amos, I think, will have his hands up in that position over the next year or so. Yeah. Composed View says, Rashford isn't cut to wear the shirt to be the face of United. He wears the 10 jersey and still isn't it. Yeah, Rashford's definitely not having a great season. Danny says, sell him in January, take 40 even. I think a lot of people are probably in that boat right now. But you guys let me know thoughts on Rashford, because I'm going to move on to my last point here. And that is Dankia, Ruud. Dankia, Dankia, Dankia. That's thank you in Dutch, by the way. It's I think that Ruud van Nistelrooy has come in to steady the ship. Obviously, after Erik ten Hag was sacked, he's taken over as interim manager for 4 games, and Ruben Amorim is set to officially take charge now. And quite frankly, steady the ship he did, right? And let me look at some numbers here. So 4 matches in charge. We have 3 wins, 1 draw, including a draw against high-flying Chelsea right now. I think they just got a draw against Arsenal today too. We've scored 11 goals in those 4 games, only 3 goals against. And we've got our first win in Europe in over a year. So it's anyone's guess whether or not we would have had any of those same results under Ten Hag in these last 4 matches, or if it's just manager bounce or what. It doesn't really matter. Like I said about Ten Hag's struggles, the whys don't matter. It is what it is. We needed points. We got points. Moving on. In any case, Ruud has been really one of our best interim managers we've had. And it's weird that I have to say one of our best interim managers because we've had so many. But I thoroughly enjoyed watching us play under Ruud. The 5 goals against Leicester, the 3 goals today, the win against PAOK, the clean sheets, 2 clean sheets in a row. I'm here. You guys know how much I love clean sheets. Like, I love them almost more than winning sometimes. Danny says, I hope he stays, but can't see it. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens, because so Ruud has said earlier, today, he said he's expecting to hear from the club either today or tomorrow regarding his future. So we might have to wait till tomorrow to see what happens. Ineos just brought Ruud to the club. Now, I know Ten Hag kind of picked him out, but Ineos also had to give the okay on that. So they brought him. They brought Rene Haka, Jorsen, Yelleren Relwalar. I always say that guy's name wrong, but they brought all these coaches here. But then we also paid extra to bring in Amorim's coaches. So it's going to be interesting. Maybe they're just going to Hunger Games it in the dressing room and let all of them figure it out who's going to stay, who's going to go. But does Ruud stay to the end of the season? Does he leave right away when Amorim gets here? And maybe there's just a very kind of amicable conversation like, listen, I appreciate what you've done. You've done a really good job. You put me in the best position when coming in. I appreciate that. I can't thank you enough. But I think I'd like to just have a fresh start with my squad. Who knows what's going to happen? Does he see out his contract? He said he wants to see out his contract. He's got a 2-year contract. He's put that out there a couple times. It's anyone's guess at this point what's going to happen. But if he's not at least one of the main assistant coaches, then I can't see him staying. I don't think it would be right. I don't think he would want it. Just to come on and be like a training coach for like the strikers or something, and you don't really get to see him a whole lot. I think I wouldn't want that for Ruud. I think there's plenty of opportunities out there if he just waits a little bit. And it's not like he's going to be idle if he leaves. He's going to go learn. He's going to go hang out with Pellegrini or Carlo or Bielsa like he has been. He'll go and learn because that's what he wants to do. On Amorim, though, apparently there's been a holdup in his work permit. He's not going to be here tomorrow. That's just part of the way it works sometimes. We see it with players all the time during the transfer window. Hopefully that gets sorted. But did you guys catch any of the Sporting versus Braga match this afternoon? It was dicey there for a bit. I think I could almost just hear all the English media, all the journals just prepping the headlines, prepping the articles, like United manager bottles final game in charge at Sporting. And then sure enough, come at the hour, come at the man. Sporting were down 2-0, but they managed to come back and win it 4-2 in a flurry of goals in the last 10 or 15 minutes of the match. There was a stoppage time goal in there, but all the journals are like, damn it, now I've got to delete this. Now I've got to trash this document. Now I got to write this positive one now. They'll still find some way to write it. If, let's say, they're waiting tomorrow to see what happens with Ruud. I guarantee you if Ruud ends up going, the headlines are going to be like, United disrespect another legend, first Fergie, now Ruud. That's exactly what's going to happen. Not that I think it's right, but it's what's going to happen. Composed View says, I hope Ruud is released simply because his aura in the club might be distracting for Amorim. Wouldn't want to risk it. I want Amorim to succeed with time and space to grow into the role. See, here's the thing too that makes me move a little bit more towards maybe letting Ruud go is and I don't know if this is true. This is just the headlines, and some tweets and whatever. But it's the players. It's this rumor that the players want him to stay. That the players want him around. And I'm like, well, fuck that. You don't get what you want. That's not what the way this works anymore. I'm tired of these players getting what they want. You're done. You're not gonna get your buddy there anymore if that's the case. Like that's not anything disrespectful towards Ruud. It's just I'm done with these players trying to get what they want all the time. If that makes sense. Danny, what channel is it on? I think it was on like Goal TV, Fanatis, some weird channels. Compose View says, I do hope Ruud gets a job in the EPL or any serious league. I think he could. I mean, I've mentioned a couple teams in the Bundesliga that are probably going to need a new manager sometime soon. Not some of them because maybe their manager is going to get sacked, like Dortmund. I could easily see Nuri Sahin getting sacked. But some of them, their managers obviously were really highly coveted in the summer. And after another season, those managers are probably going to leave, like Xabi Alonso at Leverkusen, Hoeneß at Stuttgart. I could see him leaving. You're never, ever safe as a Leipzig manager. We all know that, but I think they're doing pretty decently. So I think he could easily go there. Maybe there's teams in the Premier League that could use him. Trying to think. Honestly, if there's a relegation team that's been doing well and they go down, like let's say like Kieran McKenna takes a new job and Ipswich get relegated, I think he can go in and do well with the Ipswich side and spend a year in the Championship and see what he can do. West Ham, I think I read a rumor that West Ham were interested in maybe Ruud coming in to steady their ship because Lopetegui's not doing great. But you guys let me know. Danny B says, good point. Yeah. RSV, man, how are you? Welcome, bud. Ugarte is getting better. It takes time for players to gel. I just hope he doesn't get overhyped because I want him to succeed. And I want to see this in the big games. Yeah, I think RSV, yeah, you hit it spot on, man. He's getting better. Every time he plays, he seems like he's getting better and better. And that's just gets familiarity. You get some minutes under your belt. You're getting fit, getting used to the teammates, getting used to the competition. I really like what I see. Danny B says West Ham. Yeah, he could go to West Ham. I think that he could do well with guys like Bowen, Kudus. I think, although I'd like us to sign Kudus. But yeah, keep an eye out this week for my transfer target video too. Probably going to be doing that Monday. Tomorrow, I had to do this tonight. Wasn't planning to do it tonight, but tomorrow's a little busy between my wife and my schedule. So this is the only time I had to do this. Wednesday, I'm probably going to jump on. Tuesday or Wednesday, probably going to jump on and do one of these. And then Thursday, I will be busy all day. That's my first virtual class day for the PFA football psychology course. So that's going to be an all-day thing. So won't be here at all on Thursday, guys. So Composed View says, exactly. These players need a rude awakening. And the team, I don't know if that was meant to be a joke or not, but I took it that way. And the team needs refreshing. Cut a lot of them, including the established ones, a la Rashford. Amorim should make a strong point. And that's the thing, like, I get that, right? And I think that we've talked about that the other day. Like, there could be a need maybe and maybe it's a financial thing too, but maybe Rashford wants to leave. We don't know what's going to happen there, but Sporting came back today in Amorim's final game in charge and managed to grab himself a win in his final game. So really got to see that. On the final thoughts on the match, guys, get your thoughts in, by the way, to apparently Bruno said after the match, did anybody see this, that Garnacho didn't celebrate his goal the way he felt like he should have because the kid feels like he's lost the faith of the fans. So the juxtaposition of this and some of the stuff that was going on earlier in the week doesn't sit right with me. I'm not going to point fingers at any particular content creators. You guys can figure it out. We spoke about it the other day, but it seems a little coincidental, the fact that this is what's been said and that the confrontation happened the other day. I call it confrontation, just the moment that happened the other day. That was obviously a big deal this week. I think that, not that you're watching Garnacho, but like one person on YouTube doesn't represent the whole of the fandom. We love you. We support you. Yeah, we can criticize. Yeah, we can give feedback. Yeah, we can demand better if you're having a bad day, but we're not going to treat you like that, my guy. So don't let one person's voice drown out everyone else's. Danny B says, a 100, half dozen need to go probably. Yeah, there's quite a few. And that's the thing that we're going to be talking about in that video too, is the fact that there's a few players that we have that are experienced, but they're also on their final year. Maguire, Lindelof's going to be going, probably Eriksson. Casemiro, he's not on his final year, but Casemiro could be leaving anytime here. Evans is another one. So we'll see. So in any case, this win puts us at 13th, brings our GD out of the negative. It's still 0, but it's out of the negative. So it's math. I can get behind that kind of math, right? Even after 11 matches, though, there's literally 4 points between where we are and top 4 place. We're 4 points off Arsenal, who are in 4th right now. I've said it before. It's still decently early. Yeah, it's been like a quarter of the season, but right now, just with the way the table is laid out points-wise, if we can string together just a few wins on the bounce, we could literally jump up like 6 places real quick. And if we can maintain that, that would be amazing. I expect a little bit of a shaky start, but who knows? I mean, it could be a new manager thing, but it's going to be interesting. And then big up Bruno today, reaching 250 games for United. I don't know if you guys saw that presentation ahead of time. Easily, in my opinion, one of, if not the best signings that we've made post-Fergie, in my opinion. So you guys can fight me if you don't rate Bruno, but you can't argue with the numbers. Most chances created in Europe out of anyone in football since he arrived at United. It's criminal that our attackers have been so poor since we bought him, because he really should be leading the league in assists. He really should be up there for a Ballon d'Or shot with the amount of assists he should have had, but he's had the brunt of too many different managers, different strikers to work with, young, selfish attackers and not attackers who just aren't clinical enough, and he really should be doing more, but it is what it is. Garnacho is being heavily criticized by some fans. He's a young player with high potential. These fans on YouTube and X or other platforms are influential. However, the harsh criticism is unwarranted. I mean, I get the criticism, but there's a fine line, right, between criticism and just like that just unnecessary, just almost like, I don't want to call it aggressive because it's not aggressive, but just like what happened the other day. I thought that was targeted. I thought that was agenda driven. It felt like, the guy had a whole goal going into, a whole mission going into that. This is what was going to happen. It felt like he was trying to get the reaction, and like, why else would you stream it? It just doesn't make sense to me. And so it's like when people post videos of ghosts that they see or something, like, oh, you just conveniently happen to have your phone on you when you supposedly saw this ghost or something. Like, it just didn't sit right with me. And if that's a way for Garnacho and Bruno to basically hit back a little bit, I don't have a problem with it. I think that these YouTubers and things, and I say that being one, but if this, like the other guy who had the confrontation with Rashford, that's going to happen, then the club just needs to treat him like every other journalist and just ban him from the grounds or something. I don't care if you're a fan. If you're going to cause problems like this, then you shouldn't be allowed anywhere near. That's a privilege. It's not a right. You're not entitled to that kind of treatment. You're not entitled to those interactions. You're not entitled to be treated a certain way when you treat someone else a certain way. Like, that's not the way it works. And so I would never do anything like that. I know you guys wouldn't, but you guys let me know your final thoughts on the match while I just wrap a few things up here. So we've got Amorim coming in shortly. I'm going to be doing a video this week on transfer targets that I'd like us to maybe take a look at. I'm going to be going through a few positions. And then, like I said, come back Saturday. This Saturday for that video, we are also going to be doing the giveaway. This is a 22-23 home shirt. It is a large. It is a fan version, but it is brand new. We will be giving that away on Saturday. Hopefully, I'll have some guests coming with me. I'm trying to get Dylan and Joel back. I know you guys really vibed with those guys, so we'll see what we can do there. Composed View says, he's not even Ronaldo. Ronaldo made mistakes, dribbled unnecessarily, and was allowed to grow. He had stalwarts and Ruud, Kane, EDC to guide him. I think you meant Keane. His mentality, etc. Ruud was transferred partly because of Ronaldo. Well, there's a lot of reasons a lot of players get transferred. Keane got transferred because he did some not cool stuff. Ruud, I don't think it is what it is. It's all ancient history at this point. But in any case, I am going to take off, you guys. I'll wait a couple seconds because I think there is a little bit of a delay between the new software and the live YouTube. So I'll let you guys get your final thoughts in. But let me know your thoughts on the match. Who was your man of the match? Like I said, I gave mine to Ugarte. I know Bruno is probably going to get it for a lot of people because he did get a goal and assist. But I think Ugarte just, again, another just literal near perfect performance from Ugarte. I don't even care if he gets carded every now and then. Like, the guy does what he needs to do. He does it very, very well. And if he can only get better, we are going to benefit from that greatly. So in any case, thank you guys for stopping by. Composed View, Danny B, always good to chat. RSV, getting involved. Come back Saturday. Be sure to stop by this week when I do my transfer target video as well. You guys know I like to shake up the international break with a bit of fun. So yeah, Danny's throwing it out there to Ugarte as well. And I think that it's kind of like Carrick. Carrick, he wasn't the guy getting the goals and the assists, but the performance on the day, the overall result probably would have not gone the same had it not been for him, and 9 times out of 10. So thank you guys for stopping by. Cheers, Danny. Cheers, Composed View. Cheers, RSV. I will see you guys later on this week. So celebrate that win. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, y'all. And I will see you. Yeah, Composed View up there. Nice. I like that. Good job, guys. All right, guys. Take it easy. I'll see you on the next one.